what's up, everybody? How's it hanging? How's it happening? Because you guys notice this is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast. This is a special Wednesday episode, and I know what you're thinking, Kevin, why are you doing a special Wednesday episode like this? Well, the reason is because we want to help this band promote as much as possible, and they've got live shows coming up, and I'd rather have this out before the live shows come out rather than after. So before we jump into it, I want to thank our sponsors first, Phoenix Fitness. Yes, I still go to the gym, get strong like Arnold, all that good kind of stuff. And, when it comes to being able to do that, I love to do that for a couple of reasons. One, I like to work out. It's one of my favorite things to do. On top of that, I love, being able to do as many things as I possibly do. I love playing soccer, but of course, you guys know my big thing. I mean, I'm wearing an Icon Pit Crew sweatshirt right now because you guys know a mosh pit comes on. I'm not stopping. I'm going to go in there as much as possible. Hell, it's the month of March, and that's all I'm doing. I mean, I was in pits for freaking Belmont, for like the Torch Hogs, for really Killswitch Engage. I mean, Under Oath, Spirit Box, Bad Omens. I'm not going to stop. And being able to go to the gym and, build up my fitness is something I like to do to be able to do that. But I also like to be able to perform right and prepare right, recover right for that. And that's where Phoenix Fitness comes in. They have different supplements like different, pre-workouts to help you, get stimulating, help, get the pump on, both stim and stim-free stuff. I take the stim-free stuff because I'm crazy enough as it is. You guys already know that. They also have different B-stable recovery compounds if your muscles, soak in all the nutrients and the protein, everything. For your recovery, different creatine cell muscle growth, different protein blends, AM, PM, and directly after your workout to help build muscle, different multivitamins, literally anything you need to help achieve your fitness goals, Phoenix Fitness has for you. So our listeners get 15% off. Use the code MSOTD at FX.com, link description of the podcast. Our second sponsor is Custom Debuts. So what does Custom Debuts do? This is what Custom Debuts does. They create these crazy custom posters on anything in music. So you can give them an artist. They give them either an album from that artist or a song from that artist. And what will happen is they will take that and make a whole entire custom poster of that for you. And by doing that, what they'll do is they'll take, the album artwork, they'll put it on a poster, take the track listing and put it in some sort of cool way just for you. Or they'll take the lyrics of a song and put it on a poster just for you as well. And they'll send you a proof within 48 hours of, what you say you want. If you don't like it, you tell them what you would rather have, and they'll make edits to it to make sure it, is custom for you. And when you're sent ready to go, you can have that sent to you either on classic poster paper, as a canvas print, or as a full-on aluminum sign to be the coolest guy, the coolest girl, the coolest cat in the office, in the garage, with your basement, literally anywhere that you want to have it, in your dorm room, in your lot. I don't give a crap where you put it. Just put it wherever you feel like. So our listeners get 10% off, not 50, 10% off. Use the code CPP10 at Custom Debuts website, link description of the podcast and Custom Debuts. Now into our feature presentation. So this band called Out of Darkness. They're out of Florida and Out of Darkness as well. And they covered a song by Celine Dion called I Surrender, which I did not know was a cover until I was told by Mr. Deadly Smedley, the drummer of Out of Darkness. Did I say of Out of Darkness? Yeah, probably. I'm just having too much fun here, guys, because this podcast was awesome. Being able to talk about, how they put this song together, just the power behind it, what they're going on with music, and just some of the cool things, talking to them all about music. My God, you're not going to want to miss out on this band if you like metal. Trust me on that. So enough with me, gabbing about this stuff. How about we just talk with Deadly Smedley and Bill from the band Out of Darkness? Let's go and do that. Are you guys ready? Let's go!
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast. After a post from, I believe it was Brent from MVK Music Group, someone reached out to me about checking out this band called Out of Darkness. And I'm like, you know what? Let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. Let's talk to them. They have a brand new song called I Surrender coming out sometime in the spring. And we're here to talk all about it with the band. So please welcome from the band Out of Darkness out of Orlando, Florida. Welcome Deadly Smedley to the podcast. So Deadly, welcome to the Chord Progression Podcast.
What up? Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for being on, man. How's everything going out in Florida? It's hopefully starting to get nice out over there because here we're still dealing with the cold over here, man.
Beautiful today, man. It's great. It's great.
That's great. We're here to talk all about music. And honestly, I just want to jump right into this brand new song called I Surrender that will be coming out sometime in May because I've got a chance to listen to the whole entire thing. I've got about 3 pages of notes on the whole entire song. So I am ready to roll on this thing. And when it comes down to it, really, let's start out with the song, basically. Start out with the song. I was listening through it, and I'm trying to figure out exactly where what the inspiration for the song was, where it was coming from. And first thing I want to ask you is, what's the meaning behind the song? What's the deep meaning behind the song? Where did it come from, and how did this whole entire thing come together?
Okay. Actually, this is the tune that I first heard Eric doing it on YouTube, and this is what hit me to Eric. When me and Rich were putting a band together, we wanted to start with a really strong lead vocalist, and I heard Eric doing this. It's actually a cover tune. It's a Celine Dion song. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not, because I usually don't listen to Celine Dion. I mean, my primary listening pretty much revolves around like Rise Against, Ice Nine Kills, and anything around there.
Right on, right on. Yeah, I mean, most people, when you tell them that, it's kind of a shock. We kind of redid it, put our own spin on it. You know, like I said, Eric had done it before, and he did such a great job with it that it's like, well, let's go ahead and put it on the record, man. You know, it's kind of a different part of the spectrum for us, and I really like it. It's a beautiful song.
Well, I think especially, I mean, the fact that it's a cover song, now that I'm finding out about that, it kind of blows my mind that it is. What it's going to end up doing is, I mean, there's going to be people that are going to be able to listen to it and be able to, take from that original recording from Celine Dion and really get to understand the track from that aspect, but then being able to hear your guys' style and put your, take on it, your twist on it, and then hearing Eric's vocals over the top of everything and seeing how that all works together. I mean, that's going to give people a completely different experience than what Celine Dion would have given in her original recording.
Oh, yeah, most definitely, man.
I was going to say, because otherwise, from what you guys came through with this song, giving honestly, it's more of this super, power ballad kind of style versus what Celine Dion could put together. Right. You're going to get many different emotions coming through here, many different, emotions that are being incited just based off of the different sounds used, different styles, the different guitar tones, different progressions. There's going to be a lot of things that, especially when I was listening, that I was picking up on, listening to the song, listening to how it was put together, that was kind of taking me back to listening to music with, listening to music with my dad in the car when I was a kid, because a lot of the stuff that he would listen to, had a lot of these different elements in there. So a lot of this kind of, had these weird flashback moments of just riding the car and just listening to music with my dad, even though I don't necessarily think the song is somewhere around, like a relationship between a father and son, but just listening to those sounds, just being able to pull from that was honestly a really cool thing for a listener from my perspective.
Cool, man. I'm glad you liked it, man.
When it comes to, Eric being on this, like working on this track, singing it, what was it like, potentially recording this with him and hearing his vocal take on this? Because his vocals were one of the most powerful things through this whole entire song.
Oh, yeah. That's what definitely takes it over the top. I mean, he's a very versatile singer. He's got a heck of a range. And that's what really sells it, and like I said, this was the song that I heard that made me go, I think I want to work with this guy. I think we could put something really cool together. So, yeah, I mean, it's awesome. His vocals are definitely the icing on the cake, and that's what takes it over the top for me.
I mean, for me, it was one of the things that really did as well, because especially, I was going through the song, and as it opens up, you get to the verses, it has his vocals, they have this like lighter feel to them, a little more of like a whisper tone, consistent with that kind of like opening of like a power ballad kind of sound. And I looked at him like, it does bring forward a lot of that like emotion that you're trying to talk about with this song coming through the start. So when it comes down to his vocal pattern, especially on the verse and how it's constructed, it starts out at a point where he's able to build up from it, and the song's able to have more of this grander, more what's the best way, more booming kind of presence as it goes on through the pre-chorus and into the chorus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's majestic. It's majestic sounding for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of dynamics in it. And yeah, that allowed him to sing in a different way, I think, than he did on any of the other songs on the record. Kind of takes it to a softer spot. So
It absolutely does. I think the best way to put it, just dynamics for this whole entire thing. It really shows a lot of that, because again, building through it, and then you get to the pre-chorus, you can kind of sense a building happening here, especially from the back instrumentals, but also from his voice. Then you get to the chorus, and I think the chorus is the thing that really, when it came to his vocals, was the first thing that stuck out to me from his perspective, because the vocals are still melodic in nature with the way the construction of the song is. But there's so much power behind it that it perfectly matches the guitar tones and the emotions of that, power kind of ballad feel. And it does stand out with some of the vibrations vocals, because it's not like his vocals cords were like vibrate at the exact same time. So it wasn't just this, clean, consistent note. It was kind of coming back and forth a little bit on there with a little bit of like reverb in a way. And it shows just the absolute power behind that vocal set to really bring this to the forefront.
Right on. Yeah, he really did it up, man. He did it up.
Oh, absolutely did. And Honestly, when it came to his vocal set, when it comes to this song, I think the thing that people are really going to be able to latch onto the most in this, and that's just talking about from his vocal set, is going to be when, as the song progresses on, you get to the bridge of the song, because they stay just as powerful as that chorus had. However, they're just sharper and they just have this more powerful tone to them, show more of the power that, the message of the song has. And I really like it on this because they add a lot of that emotion. And I really like to see this from the bridge because it takes this song, it takes the build that you guys had from the verses, pre-chorus, chorus on this version of the song. All of a sudden, when you get to the bridge, it amplifies that to a whole nother level. So when you get to that final chorus, it just adds so much more power behind it because you're being led into that in such a different way. And it's just a lot of it comes from that vocal power from Eric and how the different tones in his voice, how the different vibrations that are coming off of his vocal cords, especially in the chorus. And just when it comes to the bridge, just the sharpness behind that as well adds so much more power to what you guys are trying to accomplish in this song. And I think the bridge, especially from the vocal standpoint, is going to be the point where people really latch onto this song. And that's going to be the thing that's going to really sink them in and remember this song after they listen to the whole entire thing. They're going to look at that bridge that you guys put together on this one and say, that's it.
Right on. Yeah, I think it goes to a key change where it kind of goes up a little bit right there. So yeah, it's very well constructed, I think, and it definitely rises to a climax there.
Oh, absolutely. And then
go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry, I've cut you off.
Did you hear where there's a piano intro that goes right before it? I didn't know if you heard that or not, or if you just got the track.
I just got the track. I didn't hear the piano intro that came before it though.
That's pretty. It kind of sets it up real nice, man.
Ooh, now I'm even more intrigued with this because I'm trying to put this together now with like having a piano intro in front of that. So what was the inspiration behind putting a piano intro in front of this whole entire song to really give it the pop that it's going to have?
That was something that I think Rich and the producer, the engineer, where we tracked it in Orlando at Studio Live USA. David Michael, he actually did that. He's got a nice grand piano in there. And it's short. I mean, it's maybe not even a minute long, but it sets it up real nice. It's some nice twinkly piano with some keys to kind of blend it together. So I think he just maybe heard that it could use something a little bit in the beginning. So, I mean, to me, it's perfect. That's one of my favorite things on the whole record is that little intro.
Well, one thing I'm a huge fan of, and I'm still a huge proponent of, even in today's world with, streaming, digital downloads, all that stuff, where people are just basically taking one single song snippet and that's what they're listening to. Or look at, Tik Tok, for example, where when it comes to just putting music over a certain video or thing, it's always just like 1 15, 20 second iteration of it. You don't necessarily know what the song all is. When it comes to a full album as well, people are, they might listen to it one time through, but then they're just going to pick and choose a lot of the songs they listen to. I'm a huge proponent of listening to the whole entire thing through and through and listening to every single track the way that the artist intended to have it on the record, because it shows so much more of the story and so much more of the emotion of this record that the artist is trying to put together. So having a piano intro over, in front of that on the record, if you listen to the record through and through and you get to that point and then you lead into I Surrender, you're going to feel the power behind it. And especially using a piano melody, the piano has such this different, emotional connotation behind it when it comes to anything, when it comes to the, powerful emotions around anything really, love, grief, sadness, depression, happiness. There's so much that's going on in that style where when you have a piano intro in front of it, it adds so much more to the emotion. So you're prepared to go into something that I Surrender is going to have, especially with the way it's constructed, with having a more of a power ballad feel behind it.
Yeah. It was perfect for it. Like I said. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then when it came to putting everything together on your guys' end, what was it like, when it came to the instrumental construction for this specific, for this very specific track? What was that instrumental construction like?
I mean, it's pretty much the mastermind of Eric. He had done it before. You're talking about the song or the intro?
The song.
The song, yeah. Eric, like I said, Eric had recorded it before, so he had already kind of really done it up. There's some keys in it, and there's some choir vocals at the end, and of course there's layered guitars and stuff like that, and there's keys in the back in certain spots to kind of blend it together as well. I think that was pretty much masterminded by Eric, pretty much.
So it's all concocted by Eric and all put together by you guys and him, and to really come up with something like this. And now also, because here he is in the podcast as well, please welcome Bill to the podcast from Out of Darkness. So Bill, what's up, man?
Sorry, my dogs are barking. Let me close the door.
I don't think he's got enough guitars back there.
Nah, he could use about 10 more probably and really do it up. And of course, when it comes to the internet, dogs on the podcast, not going to lie, that's always something people are like, ooh, dogs.
We got plenty of them.
Well, Bill, because now you're on the podcast, first off, welcome. And now I'm going to ask you this question. When it comes to, you guys doing I Surrender as well, when you guys were working on this track, what was your thought process when it came to, this track being presented to you guys from Eric, especially with the way they kind of put it together, you guys working with it as well? What was that whole entire process like to really bring it out the way that it did?
Sure. Well, actually, I joined the band subsequently. So this song was done, but I do have an interesting story about the song. Because
I'm all for interesting stories, man. So I'm ready to hear them.
Yeah. So you asked about the origins of the song, and so we played our first show in St. Pete. It was in January, and so we're on stage. And it was my first show. I should say not our first show. It was my first show with them. And right before we go into I Surrender, Eric says to the crowd, he's like, "Okay, this next song is by Celine Dion," and I start laughing on stage, and so we played a song, the show's over, and I said, Eric, I'm like, "Hey, that was good, man. How'd you come up with that on the spot?" He's like, "No, it really is by Celine Dion." Are you kidding me? He's like, "No, man, that's a cover." I'm like, "Wow, it's a great cover. I had no idea, So yeah, that was how I found out. I didn't know the story behind it either.
I mean, that kind of echoes the sentiments that I had around it, where I didn't even know it was a cover as well. It's just when you listen to the song itself, especially the way that it's constructed, the way that it's presented, and through Eric's vocals, it has such this different power behind it and such this incredibly genuine emotion behind it as well through his vocals, that it's really hard to try and figure out that this is actually a cover, because usually when it comes to covers, it's, what the original sounds like, but it's very hard to either replicate, duplicate, or even really take that emotion and make it your own, and also have it stand out just as well as the original artist did, because you might be telling someone else's story, but the way that Eric put it together, it's that vocal power is so intense that it's really hard to kind of see it as a cover. It just comes out so powerfully. And then with the instrumental backing that you guys put behind it as well, it just adds more to the experience that the song ends up having. It really puts it out there in a whole different aspect, a whole different light, but everything works so well together that you feel the emotion every step of the way, especially once you hit the bridge and you hit that key change. Whew, again, that's the part that, for me, I was able to really sink into in that moment, really, fully invest in the song, was once that bridge hit, it's like, okay, now I'm in. There's no way I'm getting out of it.
Awesome. I'm glad you like it, man. Yeah, we kind of make it our own. We take and make it our own for sure. We do our own take on it.
Yeah, I would add, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm bad.
I would just add, so the job that Eric did on that, not only that song, but the entire album, is, in addition to Brent's drumming, I got to be nice to Brent. He's on the call with me. No, the job that Eric did is he's so incredibly versatile. And I know it's cliche to hear, a band member say that about their vocalist, but he really is, because he can sing these pretty syrupy ballads, and then the next minute he's growling like he's in a death metal band. But then it's not just the two extremes. He's got this really nice mid-range. Like he could be a power metal vocalist if he wanted to, some bands have two different lead singers for that. They have the singer and the screamer, and we've got all that in one guy. And that was a really big attraction for me to be in the band.
Well, even from an audience perspective as well, when you have someone that is a lead vocalist that has that amount of range, all of a sudden, you're up on you guys are up on stage playing, we're in the crowd watching, and all of a sudden you're seeing it live, and you're seeing just the dynamic change in between these different vocal tones, from all of a sudden, guys going from singing to all of a sudden that unclean growl to screaming. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, from the day we recorded this, I got to see that all happen yesterday, because I went to go to see the Killswitch Engage tour, and because they're on tour with Light the Torch, seeing Howard Jones perform with Light the Torch, and all of a sudden having him come out for the End of Heartache and just singing all of that, it was just like, yeah, how is this even possible? It's captivating to actually watch and listen to something like that happen. Because when it's on, when you listen to it just on a recording, it does come through, but there's always times, is that, the same vocalist? And if you don't know the band, you're just not necessarily sure. It does sound like two different people, but all of a sudden you see it live and you see it's just one person that's doing that. You kind of just take a step back, and it's just, whoa, how does that come out of one person? And how can that one person pull through so much different emotion with their vocals from that, mid-range, potentially going higher as well, and potentially bring out these unclean screams in there as well, all in the same time? It's absolutely amazing. So having someone like that in the band and really directing everything with Eric as well, from the vocal standpoint, I mean, it puts you guys in such a great position to really take your music in any direction you ever feel like.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. And I would add also, not to kiss Eric's butt, but he's a hell of a guitar player, like a really good guitar player. I was quite surprised. Even the little lead in the beginning of I Surrender, the little sweep arpeggio thing, and that's Eric. I didn't realize that was him. And I'm like, oh man, you can rip, so, and then the dynamic. So now that we have 3 guitar players, and we're not copying Maiden, but it's just the way it works out. We're blessed to have a singer who can really play as well. And he doesn't play on everything, but the extra texture and the extra instrumentation that you can add to songs live to try to make it sound more like what you did in the studio, I think it's really neat.
Well, I'd absolutely, from like a fan standpoint, I absolutely have to agree on that. I mean, with 3 guitarists in there, that's a lot of guitar work just in one band right there. But with the fact that, when it comes to Eric, he doesn't have to play, you can come in and out with certain things. But having someone of that caliber in the band as well, be able to play a guitar on a track, you're able to add so much more to these tracks than you potentially want to, because you have so much, you've another set of hands up there that, especially when it comes to playing live, like you said, Bill, that's able to do something like this. And right. Just still, how insanely cool is that you guys could potentially come forward, play some of these songs live that, other bands might try and do something like this live, but they're not able to, just based off of, the talent that is available to them on stage at the time. And I'm not knocking any bands for, the types of talent they have on stage, but the fact that you have the ability to do so many different things with the members of the band that you have, I mean, that's just awesome. That's just insanely awesome.
Yeah. It's
sorry, my buddies wanted to join me again. I've been gone all day. Now that I'm home, they want to see me.
Hey, no problem. Anytime dogs come on the podcast or any animals come on the podcast, honestly, everyone's just like, even me, I'm just like,
good for ratings.
There you go.
But Smedley, because you were saying like something like this, this is on a whole entire record as well. This isn't just like a one single thing that you guys are doing. Like, you guys are putting a whole record together of music like this.
Well, I Surrender is actually off the first EP, which came out in the summer of 2020. That's a song off of there. We're just releasing. We're making a video for it, and we're going to release it as a single with like a radio campaign behind it. So it's kind of like maybe a re-release of the song. And then at the moment, we're currently getting songs together for a follow-up record. We've got about 3 or 4 in the works, and a good 3, 4, maybe 5 more kind of on the back burner. So yeah, we're preparing the next record right now, but we're going to give this EP one more push by doing this song. So
understandable. And is it because of, again, releasing in the summer of 2020 with everything that's going on with the pandemic? Is that one of the reasons why you're going to potentially do a re-release with something like this, to give it the support that it should deserve, especially with you being able to play this stuff live and not, have to deal with everything around what happened in 2020 with the COVID pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that might have a little bit to do with it. We released one single, the song "Think Again." We made a video for that. That was the first single off the record, and then we have another tune that was just released as the song without a video called "Freedom to Be Free." That's going on right now. And then I Surrender was pretty much, that'll be the last push for this EP. Basically, like you said, to give it its full due, to totally work it before we move on to the next one.
And again, that makes a lot of sense from my perspective as well. I know a lot of other bands that have done stuff like that, where they release certain things either, March of 2020, April of 2020. That was just the way that it was set up and everything was ready to go. But of course, because, the pandemic happened, everything pretty much shut down. When it came to giving these projects, whether it was EPs, singles, full albums, their proper due and the proper respect that they deserve, you couldn't really necessarily do that because there was no support being able to go out and do that. And now that, we're getting out, pretty much, it seems like out of that at that point with live shows back and very few cancellations happening anymore because of COVID-19. It seems like a lot of the other bands, like, they're finally able to, do some of these things and put some of these songs out there and really give them the respect that they're due. So being able to do something like that for you guys and really give this EP its full life cycle, I think is very intelligent. On top of that, also working on new music in the back end so that when you guys have done, giving this EP on the, on the release cycle and the promotion cycle, and you guys are ready to go to the next thing, you already have a lot there that you're either, working on or that you have ready to go, or, is all written, but just needs to be recorded and mastered and everything around there.
Right on.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Well, I'm kind of curious about this video now. What can we expect from this video that you guys put together for this song?
To be honest with you, I'm not really sure. It's in the planning stages right now. We haven't met with the videographers or anything yet, so I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I'm sure some of it will be us playing, the performance side of it. There should be a side of it too, which is like the music video, I call it, side. Tells a story and whatnot. So we'll have to wait and see what they come up with. I think we're working with the same guys again. I cannot remember the name of their company. That's terrible. But they did an amazing job on the first video. So we're looking forward to it. It should be killer.
Well, I mean, we're kind of just teasing it right there where we're not necessarily sure what to expect. And I mean, heck, you guys aren't even necessarily sure what to expect from the story aspect of this music video. So kind of seeing what's going to happen here. It's going to be very interesting to see what they come up with and what you guys are able to do with this sort of a music video. And when it comes to the release or like the release of the video and the push for this song, how is this all going to end up working together? How is the video going to end up being received? What's the emotion going to be like towards there? And then when it comes to performing this stuff live, do you guys have dates lined up for tour over the next, couple of weeks, months, whatever it might be? Because I was trying to find stuff and I didn't necessarily find anything really concrete when it came to, you guys playing live. But I mean, if there's a chance to see you guys play live and play this stuff live, I'm pretty sure that for someone like myself, especially after listening to the single, especially the power in Eric's vocals and how everything's constructed, I want to experience this live. So when it comes to finding you live, are you guys just sticking, in the Florida area right now? Are you guys trying to expand further out? What's the plan here?
The next show is actually on Friday, March 18th. It's in Savannah, Georgia. It's like a St. Patrick's Day kind of mini festival. Trying to see what the name of the club is. Do you know, Bill?
I was just looking it up. I look at the flyer, I see it almost every day, and then when I have to remember it, I can't remember.
It looks like it's at at the Wormhole, I think it's called, in Savannah, Georgia.
There it is.
Playing there Friday, March 18th. That's the next show that we've got. And then in June, we've got about 10 dates. We're branching up. I believe we're heading all the way up north, like Pennsylvania, Ohio, Tennessee, stuff like that. But it's all on the site. You can find it all on outofdarkness.live, or you can check out our Facebook, or we've got Instagram.
I'll say we'll definitely be sure to link all that stuff as well. And I mean, having a 10-date run, in June, that's honestly a good time, especially, coming further up north as well. Especially, I mean, I'm from Wisconsin, so right now, I mean, we're still dealing with cold weather, and all of a sudden, one day it's, hey, it's 60 degrees outside. This is great. All of a sudden the next day, now it's going to snow. So all of a sudden, once summer hits and we're able to go outside and just enjoy everything, my God, especially up north, do we not stop? It's like, we know what it's like to, have to be stuck inside for the winter the whole entire time. We get a chance to go out and see live music. By God, we're going to go.
Right on.
Yeah, I'm originally from Pittsburgh, so I know exactly what you're talking about. And cool thing is on this little 10-date, I assume it's 10-date run that we're doing up the Northeast, I do get to play at my own old hometown, so I'm looking forward to that.
So you get to go to the Pittsburgh area and play some shows?
Yes, we have one show booked, and coincidentally, it's about 10 minutes from my old house. So it wasn't planned that way. I just happened to get from our manager, he here's some dates, here's some venues. And I'm like, wait a minute, I know this place. And I used to live right by there. So that'll be great to see some family and friends.
Have a little old homecoming show for Bill right there. My God, that sounds like, it could be something that would just be, you could just get a lot of people to potentially come from just, hey, Bill's back in town. They're playing a live show. Let's go. Also, because it's summer outside. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is June, so there might not be snow in Pittsburgh this summer.
Right on.
Especially, we know what it's like to live, in the northern part of the United States. There's always a potential for something, except like if it's like July or August. I'm not necessarily sure if there's ever been snow in June, it probably has been, but from my lifetime, I've never experienced it. So I think when it comes to June, I think we're set and not going to have to worry about any kind of snow coming your guys' way.
It could be all right on that. Okay.
Just otherwise, because if there is, then there's gonna be some concerts that I go to that I'm definitely not gonna be the happiest with, outside all of a sudden, hey, it's summer out, but nope, and now it's like super cold, it's snowing out, woo. Yeah, it's gonna be fun trying to potentially mosh in the snow. Not the best idea.
We do have a date in Detroit. I'm not sure how close that is to where you're at, but that might be the best chance for you to see us.
I'm not afraid to travel to shows, because even the weekend that we are recording this, like the Friday I went down to Chicago. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So Friday I went down to Chicago. Saturday I was up in Green Bay for a show. All of a sudden, then following Tuesday I'm going back down to Chicago for a show. So when it comes to traveling and stuff, I'm not afraid to hop in the car and just start driving. All of a sudden, if there's a show I want to go see, if I can make it, I'm making sure I hit it.
All right, well, maybe we'll see you there.
Yeah, so I put up the dates. It's from the 9th of June through the 18th of June. And we're playing, Virginia, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Michigan, and Ohio. The Detroit show is Chesterfield. I don't know how close that is to you.
Say one thing I could always do, too, is I could always try and potentially cut down on some time, is to take the good old Lake Michigan ferry from Milwaukee to Muskegon, Michigan, and then all of a sudden, oh, my car is here. Yay! Just drive over and then go on back, maybe sleep in my car on the way back, and all of a sudden, okay, now I get back on the ferry, come over, maybe make, a 24-hour thing out of it.
Right on. Yeah, we usually do a couple runs in the summer. Last summer, we did 2 runs going up as far as like New Jersey, Tennessee, and places like that. I think we're going to do another run in August. I know I don't know how much I can say about some of the shows are yet to be announced, but yeah, we've definitely hit a lot of other places besides Florida. That was one thing you were talking about, the pandemic. When we first started kicking it, really trying to push the record, we did concentrate on Florida. I think we did 10 shows in Florida, playing like Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa, I think maybe Ocala. Each one a few times, we'll say. And then once things started to lift up, that's when we kind of started to branch out, going up the coast and going up north and whatnot.
And that does make a lot of sense, too, because especially in the 2020 stage of the pandemic, when it came to live music happening, pretty much anywhere outside of, maybe Florida, there was really nothing happening. So you guys being able to actually play during that time and focus in on your home state and really grow the EP and grow the band from there is an incredibly intelligent move. And all of a sudden, stuff gets to open up around where you guys are in other states. And then just, okay, now we're going to go and attack that because it's a brand new market to go to. And not only that, but these people have been kind of, deprived of live music for over a year at this point. They're going to be hungry for this stuff. They're going to want to see this stuff. They're going to want to get out there. They're going to want to see some live music. They're going to want to be a part of the show. They're going to want to drink some beer and hang out with their friends. Why wouldn't you want to be a part of that? Why wouldn't you want to take advantage of that? So you guys being able to do that is an incredibly intelligent move on your guys' end.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, that's a smart thing to do, to kind of branch out from where you're at. You get your home base and kind of plant the seeds and do the grassroots campaign, so to speak. Spread it as you can. Hey, I got the name of the video company as well. The guys that did our last video for Think Again, and they're most likely going to do the I Surrender video. They're called Light Rate Productions. They did an amazing job on the last video. They had a really nice storyboard and they were very detailed. They made sure they got each shot enough time. So we were really, really happy with them. They're great. They're great guys. And they do videos for hire as well. Light Rate Productions.
So I think that name does sound familiar to me, but I've talked with a good number of bands from Florida, and even from the Orlando area as well. So it's very likely that some of these other bands I've talked to when they've come to talking about the music video, they may have dropped that name once or twice. So because when you said it, it's like I know I've heard that before. I'm not necessarily sure where, but I'm very positive that it has to revolve around other bands from the area using that same company. And I mean, every video I've seen from those bands that I'm kind of thinking of right now, those videos have come out very high quality when it comes to the storyline aspect of them. Very clear, very concise, and the flow from one spot to the next and one part to the next makes a lot of sense. And when you go from, the story part of the music video to the performance part of the music video, there's a lot of, congruency that's going through there. So you guys, it seems like, from my perspective, you guys are with the right, production company when it comes to putting this music video together for I Surrender.
Right on. Yeah, we're very pleased with them.
It's gonna be interesting to see what they all come up with. I mean, if all of a sudden you see, I'm expecting to see something weird. All of a sudden, Eric's gonna have this like super duper grand part. All of a sudden, this grand entrance into some kind of weird thing, and all of a sudden, you guys are gonna be all in the back playing just this epic power ballad feel to this whole entire song, and just maybe potentially all of a sudden having Eric like lift up like an angel out of nowhere. I don't know.
We're gonna give him wings, man.
If you really want to give him wings, just give him like 2 Red Bulls. I'm pretty sure that'll take care of it.
Right on. Right on.
Just go flying away. All of a sudden, at the end of the video, he's gonna be just flying, soaring through the air, just having a good time. Well, outside of that, I mean, because I know you guys said that outside of just this EP and then, the video and the song, everything, and this live shows, you guys are working on some new material. So if you guys are willing to talk about just on a very preliminary aspect, I don't need to know any specifics. When it comes to new material, what are some things you guys are working on? What are some things you guys are potentially experimenting with to really, when it comes to the sound for Out of Darkness, really working to grow it with some of the upcoming stuff that you're working on?
Well, one of the things we're doing is we're having Bill contribute. Now that we've got Bill on this one, we're having all the guys contribute, to kind of broaden the sound a little bit. And you want to take it away a little bit, Bill? Tell them a little bit about we're working on 2 of Bill's tunes, and we're going to work on probably a couple more of them as well.
Sure. Yeah. If it sucks, you can blame me. So no, there's a lot of material written. It's just in various stages. Like some are almost complete songs. Some are just a few riffs here or there, but there's, to be honest, at least what I personally have is well over a CD of material myself. And then what the other guys already have, like, I know Brent has a couple ideas he submitted. He can actually play a little keyboards, and which I can't, but he has a really cool idea we're working on. And I'm probably good more for the, maybe the classic metal, power metal side of things. Yeah, but then it's a nice mix with with Cody and Eric and Bronzell. They come from different backgrounds, and some of the newer metal bands I've not even heard of really. But you mix it all together, and really cool things come out. Like there's an idea that Bronzell has that I listened to, and I'm like, this is amazing, but it's not even metal, but it still sounds like Out of Darkness, like it belongs in the album. And to me, that's what I enjoy out of bands. Like, as an aside, my all-time favorite band is Led Zeppelin, right? Even though I'm a metal guy. Yeah. But you can't pinpoint them like what, they had ballads, they had heavy stuff, they had blues, but it still all sounded like them. And so I think that's what we're going for, is that even we can be all over the map musically. And of course, it's still going to be predominantly metal because that's what we love. But I think it'll sound like us. And we're still figuring out what us sounds like since I'm new to the picture here.
Right. Yep.
Well, and when it comes to just with bands, I mean, you take a look at the bands that are, the bands that are the most influential out there, either, from the past, present, whatever it might be. You take a look at their sound, and you can always understand that, this is this band. But when it comes to the certain things that they do, they branch out in so many different areas. And Led Zeppelin's a great example of that, because there are songs where there's some songs that are heavy, there's some songs that are softer, and there's some songs that are kind of further out there. But when you listen to them, they're Led Zeppelin based on, what their sound is at their core. When it comes to the vocals, when it comes to the drumming from John Bonham, there's so much going on there. Even as a more of a contemporary example, take a look at a band like Bring Me the Horizon. From what they've done from their first album to what they're doing now, I mean, it's a collaboration with Ed Sheeran. There is so much difference between where they started and where they are now. But when you listen to all their music, it's like there's always something at the core that it's them. So when it comes to you guys making music, you guys are able to experiment with so many other different things. And especially with, having Bill here at the band as well, his ideas in front of there when it comes to Cody and Eric with what they're able to bring to the table, their influence. And we got Mr. Deadly Smedley over here and his influence as well, bringing all of that into one grouping. It might take some time to really figure out, what's at the core of that sound. But the best thing you do is try so many different things and figure out so many different things, because all of a sudden, you guys have all these different influences. You never know what's going to work within another influence and what are these are going to, combine with each other to all of a sudden create something where you're going to start playing it, and on paper and in your mind doesn't make any sense, because it's like, well, conventional wisdom states that this guitar riff and, potentially, this influence over here are not going to work. Then you just lay it out and just see what happens. And all of a sudden you listen, it's just like, that's possible. And that sounds like something that really feels like something that's awesome, and we want to do this. Let's freaking go for it, man.
Right.
Yeah. Put it all in a blender, man.
We're trying to make a conscious effort too, is to not, we were talking about this yesterday at rehearsal, is, so much of modern music it's over quantized and pitch corrected, and it's over computerized, right? And it's too perfect. And while you have to have some of that just to sound relevant and current, we don't want to overdo that. We want to maybe let in little mistakes here, things that make it human, things that give it character. So we're trying to find a balance between that of you want a perfect performance, but you want it because you played it perfectly, not because you can copy and paste and use a mouse well.
And I totally understand that as well. When it really comes down to it, I mean, you take a look at a lot of the music that I listen to too. There's a lot of different things there, a lot of different programming aspects in there, which of course, you're going to end up wanting to put those in there. Going to have to be perfect, but it's when you're able to not fully just rely on the fact that this has to be perfect, has to be every step of the way. Otherwise, it's not going to sound, the absolute perfect. You can have some of those errors in there, so that, you're playing it live. All of a sudden, you put that piece in there. Yeah, to err is human. It's very common. We're not perfect, so to have that potentially in there, all of a sudden, you might have one note that just doesn't make computerized, doesn't make any sense in there. All of a sudden, that could be the one note that just takes the song into a whole different direction and turns this song from, potentially one way you're going about it, telling a specific story, to that note could take it, turn it on its side, take it in a completely different direction, but make it sound so much more congruent and so much more just stand outish to not only to the listener, but to you guys as well, and just make so much more sense. Having a slight error in there could easily just change the direction of the song for the better.
It makes it more personal, right? What's the old jazz guitarist cliche? If you make a mistake, make it twice, and everybody think you did it on purpose, right?
Right on. Yeah, you always got to put that secret note in there.
Yeah.
As long as we get that secret note.
Absolutely, because you get that secret note in there, and all of a sudden the song just goes in a whole other direction. It's like, that's possible. I mean, think about there's some of the stuff that is like the most the preliminary part in music right now. And I'll go to metalcore for a very specific example of this. Going to the 2018 album from Architects with Holy Hell, the song Doomsday, the riff that they used in there, that riff has been focused in on, and many bands have been influenced by that riff over the past 3 to 4 years. Now, how did they come up with that riff? Where did that thing come from? Maybe there was one small error when they were trying to put something together, where all of a sudden that small error turned this note into something else on that riff, and just doubling down on that error potentially to bring forward that kind of riff turned into something that bands have been trying to emulate and potentially replicate and be influenced by since it came out 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've not heard that. I'll have to check out that particular song, but sounds interesting.
Yeah, I'll say give it a shot, because it's the riff, they open up, right? It's there's maybe a 10-second intro, then they open right up with the riff, and it's just something where there are so many other bands that have been trying to use a riff that's been influenced by that. And it's a fantastic riff, but it very well could have potentially been through the creative process. That could not have been the end goal, but just with, trying different things, and all of a sudden, that one error note that potentially could have happened could have led to that. So just being able to not focus, have fun with it. It's music, it's art. And it's life too. Don't take life too seriously. No one ever makes it out alive.
Right on.
Yeah, well, I tend to make plenty of mistakes at rehearsal, so hopefully I'm inspiring the guys with my mistakes.
Mistakes can be beautiful.
Yeah, or what is it that Bob Ross would say? We don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents.
You're right.
Hey.
Just, hey, not gonna lie. I mean, people still watch that guy's videos. They still try and paint along with Bob Ross, and he's still popular, even though he's been gone for 27 years, maybe. So, I mean, he had to do something right.
Oh yeah, he's got longevity. That's one true testament.
And if you guys are able to really double down on the whole entire artistic style, the artistic vision that you have for your music, and really put everything together for it and work together with all these different influences, longevity will come along with it. Again, a lot of the bands that became those pop bands, became those very influential bands, they had done something that no other band had done before, because they took all their influences and mixed them together and found something that worked for them. You guys being able to do something like that as well and grow that, you have a chance to potentially do something like that no matter what the scale is, whether it's on the small scale, medium scale, large scale, or the Metallica scale.
There you go. Yeah, that last one, that's the one we're going for.
Yeah. No, and there's a term that's been floating around since I've been in the band, and it's about the music that we have and we're going to write. And it's to be like a heavy metal Queen, the band Queen, not Queens, but in a sense that, I mean, we don't even deserve to be mentioned in the same breath as those guys, but it's the idea of, it's kind of like Zeppelin, but Queen, I guess, took it even further. Like, what did they sound like? Because they were almost a metal band, at least kind of metal at the time. And then opera stuff and, all over the place. So that's what I mean. Like, there are some ideas that we have that are going to be all over the place, but it's going to be predominantly metal. But hopefully, there are a lot of bands I grew up with that I love. But their CDs today sound like they could, production aside, sound like they could have been the CDs from 20 years ago. And it's still good music, but it's almost like, well, I've heard this before from them. And, we like to, because whenever you listen to a CD the whole way through the first time, a lot of times you don't remember the names of the songs or the lyrics. You might say, hey, remember that song that had that cool intro with the acoustic guitar? Or how about the song that had this little piano thing in the middle, or this string section? And that's the kind of stuff that separates, it's not just one wall of metal noise from start to finish.
Yep. It's the peaks and the valleys, man.
Dynamics.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely. You're able to bring those dynamics in there, and you're going to end up having something that stands out. And Bill, I totally do agree with you, because there's even bands that I listen to where they release a record and I listen to them like, yeah, like, it's good stuff, but I've also feel like I've heard this before on many of the other records that the band has come out with. I'm not going to knock bands for doing that, though, because if that's what the music they want to put out and that's music that they truly are inspired by, yeah, go for it. I'd rather have you put that out there than put something out there that, trying to accommodate what you think the fans want. And it's still good music, but when it comes to potentially, trying to like latch onto something and really get behind it, if you're not fully invested in it, you might end up going and looking other places as well. You might be thinking, oh, this could have come out 20 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever it might be. And then you get other stuff like you guys just said, when it comes to listening through an album, even myself, because there's albums that I've listened to, and I, of course, going through all these different albums over the course of the year with different bands in the podcast, well, talking about the new albums that they have coming out. There's certain, like, I'll go through their whole entire album and I'll try and deep dive it as much as possible. And there's always a point in time where I'm just waiting for, there's going to be a point in time in the album where I'm like, that's it. That's going to be the thing that just brings me in. Right. And there are times it's like I've waited for them and those times have never come. There was one album this year, I'm like, this is a good album, but I'm just waiting for it to come. And I'm so glad I waited, because the last two songs, the first one was like it was like more of like a 2-minute kind of interlude buildup. And the final song came in and it was so much more powerful having that lead in there. I'm like, now that's the moment. And it just connects with you on so many different levels. And there's times where I don't remember the song names, but I remember what they sound like. And if you give me the album, I'll know exactly where to look for them on that album. I don't know, like, it's something for people. It's something for me to latch onto, but it's because I connect with the music on that kind of a realm. But it's because something hits within there. If it sounds the same over and over and over and over again, I'm not going to end up having that moment unless it's potentially my first time hearing it, or if I'm so closely connected to that sound that I absolutely love it. If it's something where I like it and I hear the same album again, or like the new album, but it sounds the same as another one, I might pull back from it just because I've kind of already heard it.
Yeah, I think there's a balance that every band struggles with, whether it comes to writing a song or writing an album, but you have to have enough of what people expect to hear and enough of what they don't expect to hear. If it's too much of what they don't expect to hear, you'll alienate them. And if it's too much of what they expect to hear, you'll bore them. So that's the challenge, I think, for all bands. You're trying to straddle that line.
Yep. Yeah, we kind of write with the mentality of, we want to like it first. We write to kind of please ourselves. We don't really write it all to, well, this is what they want to hear, something like that. I mean, we may think, well, maybe we should put a faster tune on there or something like that. But, we pretty much just write to please ourselves. We feel like if we like it, then they're going to like it too. And, that's the way to really be true to yourself.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I've always been a huge proponent too of, when it comes to the artists, make the music you want to make, because if you're going to make the music that you think we want to hear, you're not going to have the passion behind it. You're not going to have the emotion behind it. And, if someone like myself, and I listen, listen for that stuff too. So it'll come through as, this might sound tired. This might sound uninspired and whatnot. But if you write something for yourself the way you want it, because you're the artist, you're the one that's creating these things. I would rather have you create what you want to create and be proud of it, be passionate about it, and release it. And even if it doesn't, strike me the way you're hoping it does, that's fine. There could be another song that you write that all of a sudden, oh my God, I absolutely hit on that. I mean, that goes for any fan out there as well. But I'm a huge proponent of just not going and just doing what you think people want you to do. Especially as the artist, it's your vision, your creativity. I want to hear what you have to say. Well, I want to hear the sounds that you want to pull out in this. It's just in this situation. I don't want to hear what you think I want to hear. I want to hear what you want to hear.
Right on.
Well, because ultimately we're the ones that have to live with it, right?
Yeah, we're the ones that have to play it a million times.
Yeah, I mean, the listener can always go listen to another band, but when it comes time to get on stage and play it, that's what we're stuck with. Right, so you better like it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you guys don't like it, then, well, are we going to like it in the end?
Doubt it.
You'll see right through it.
Yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, I'm looking forward to see what you guys come forward to, especially with the I Surrender music video, seeing how that's going to end up playing, how else people are going to end up getting into this as well, especially with the power that's behind that song with Eric's vocals. And now it's hearing what you guys are potentially doing with some of the new stuff that you're coming out with, and not necessarily coming out with, but are working on when it comes to different, influence that you have all over the place, when it comes to having Bill in there now, just so many different things in there. You guys kind of have this recipe right now that you guys are working on, just kind of brewing it up to the point where all of a sudden, when this stuff starts to get released, people are going to start to get a full-on look and taste of this stuff. There's going to be so much there for people to just sink their teeth into, where all of a sudden, that 10-date run in June might turn into a 20-date run, and then that 20-date run might turn into, 2 to 3 months full of, a United States long run, just having a blast, having a ball, and having a good time with it. It has the feeling that this recipe is being brewed. It's like, that old timey, video of a witch, concocting a potion in the cauldron or whatnot. It's brewing, it's getting ready. We're just waiting for that thing, the bubbles just burst, and all of a sudden this huge power thing to come off, and just like a cartoon, it's just like, ah! Or like a volcano just exploding. It's just like, what the hell? That's what we're waiting for.
Right. Hopefully it has an effect.
That's what we're hoping for. Well, guys, as we bring this podcast to its conclusion, one thing I'd like to do before we close out is give you guys a chance to say whatever you want to say, plug whatever you want to plug, promote whatever you want to promote at the end of the episode. So, guys, the floor is yours.
Well, first thing, you can check us out, obviously, on Facebook, outofdarkness.live. You can check us out on Bandcamp. We're on Instagram as well. And we have a YouTube channel as well. You can check out our first video for Think Again on there. I think it's just now reached about 51,000 views. So we're happy with that. We want it to keep growing. There's other funny little snippets on there, funny stuff from the road and whatnot, as well as some live videos and whatnot. And the Bandcamp will get you to our merch store. We've got CDs, shirts, stickers, hats, posters, a couple other odds and ends. So that'll pretty much get you there. Anything you want to add to that, Bill?
You said everything I was about to say, man. Thanks.
Check us out on, if you're in the Savannah area, anywhere around there, check us out at the Wormhole, Friday, May 18th. We're playing there. It's like a St. Patty's Day celebration. We're playing there with quite a few other bands, Rising Up Angry. I'm not sure who else, but a bunch of other cool bands. Should be a great night. Check us out there, or, if you're in the area, the dates I mentioned earlier, check us out this summer. And, just keep tuned in. Hopefully we'll be in your area soon if we haven't been or aren't yet.
They haven't been, if they haven't been or they aren't yet, they will eventually.
Right on. And, thank you for your time and promoting us, man. We appreciate the interest and,
Yeah, Kevin, I do want to thank you for your time because, I had something I had to take care of. I was a little late joining. I apologize. But, I'm certainly grateful for anybody that takes the time to care about our music. So thank you for that.
Oh, you guys are very welcome. And now it's time for me to end this podcast with not one, not two, but three very specific things. First things first. I mean, when Deadly Smedley was going out there and telling you where you can find band, plugging everything out there, everything online, Facebook, Instagram, the YouTube channel, because the I Surrender is going to be on there when it is done, complete, and ready to roll. And find them on Bandcamp, find them about where they're playing live, merch, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of places you can go to find Out of Darkness. However, you guys know me. I studied economics in college, so I know different things about incentives, convenience, and all that stuff. So you don't want to go and have to search up this stuff all yourself. You want someone basically to do the work for you, and that's what I'm here for. So when it comes to finding Out of Darkness online, one thing you can do is go to the description of this podcast, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify Podcast, iHeartRadio, or Amazon. You'll see Find Out of Darkness online, and you'll see labels for where you can find them online, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Bandcamp, where you can find their merch, where you can stream music, buy the music, download music, where you can find them live, all that stuff. Links, and then you're going to find the labels and then the links right afterwards. So I'm basically doing all the work for you. All you have to do is click on that link. It'll take you right there. You can like, share, subscribe, listen to their stuff, download stuff, stream their stuff, share their stuff, buy some stuff, whatever it might be. It's all going to be there for you. So go and do that. Pretty much right now, I'll say that. Just go and do that right now. Or, once the podcast is done, go and do that. Second thing is this. So guys, when I have bands on the podcast that I enjoy having on the podcast, there's a certain promise I like to make to them. Basically, it's kind of like a thank you for your time. And because I love music and I love doing this stuff, thank you for helping me do what I love to do. So this promise has been hit every single time that I've done a podcast. And you two gentlemen are continuing this trend. So this is not an if, because if implies possibility that it might not happen. I don't really care for that. I like to say when, because when implies this is going to happen. However, date and time, I'm still not sure when that's going to be because, well, who knows at this point. But the promise is when. I get to see you guys perform live for the first time with Out of Darkness. My promise to you both is this. First round's on me.
Awesome. All right, we're going to hold you to that.
All right.
Please do, because especially ever since live shows been really gearing up in 2022, I've been going around. I've seen a couple bands I've had on the podcast. It's like I am purposely making a point. Go there. Don't care how far it is. And then I'll find you guys after the show. Say hi, talk a little bit. And all of a sudden next, got to make good my promise. So what can I get you to drink? You guys get that as well when I get to see you live for the first time.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Do it.
Sounds good. So then on this note, I cannot end this podcast by saying goodbye for a number of reasons. One, I'd love to do this again with you guys sometime. When you guys got the new music coming out ready to roll, we'll do this again. I'd love to do this with you guys again. Secondly, I made a promise and I aim to keep my promises. I want to see you guys perform live and I want to make that good on that promise. The first round's on me. So is this goodbye? Way too final. No. This is. See you later.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Cheers. Metal lives.
Well, folks, that's my interview with Mr. Deadly Smedley and Bill from the band Out of Darkness out of Florida. Once again, you can find their video for I Surrender when it comes out sometime in May, I believe, on their YouTube channel. They have a show coming up in Savannah, Georgia on the 18th of March. So if you're in the Savannah, Georgia area, make sure you go check that out. You can find them all over the place online, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Find their Bandcamp, get some merch, get some CDs, listen to music, stream music, download music, buy music, everything. You want to find them online? Want the easiest way to do it? Look description of the podcast under Find Out of Darkness Online. We will have everything there for you to go and become part of that. Also, be sure to subscribe to the Chord Progression Podcast. We're here on YouTube, which is our, probably most popular platform. So make sure you go and subscribe there. Otherwise, you can subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Amazon if you prefer the audio version. Please also follow us online, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Instagram is definitely our most popular. We're also on TikTok as well. So go and take care of all that. Become a Chord Progression Podcast. Well, I was going to say sponsor, follower, fan, whatever it might be. Please go to, if you already done that though, thank you very much. All singer sponsors, Phoenix Fitness, Custom Views, their links are, promo codes are in the description of the podcast as well. This was cool, man. This was cool. Not going to lie. And I'm going to take a look at that June tour day. Now I might take that ferry over from Milwaukee to Muskegon and drive towards Detroit. I don't think I've ever actually been to Michigan. That'd be fun to go to Michigan for. Hopefully like Spirit Breaker. and Sleepwaker play the following day. That'd be cool. That would be really cool. Now that's just me, spouting out and stuff with other bands we've had in the podcast I like to go and see, along with Out of Darkness. So make sure you go see Out of Darkness when they play in an area near you sometime in 2022. So on that note, that's going to be it for me today, guys. You've listened to the Chord Progression Podcast. That's going to be it for me today. I wanted to redo that because I didn't do the arm flappy thing. My name is Kevin, and you guys know how I am. Damn, please sing go wins of the big, healthy, and hearty. See ya!